What's going on, everybody? I'm Zach and welcome back to Workshop Edits. In today's project, I'm going to take you through how I swap out this old kitchen cabinet and simple drill holder station with a brand new over-the-top drill charging station that holds at least 8 drills, can mount more tools, and holds 5 battery chargers. All right, so the first step of this project is to begin breaking down the 3/4 inch 4x8 sheet of pine plywood that I got from Home Depot. Cost about $35. That's all the material that you're going to need for this project. If you're interested in building the exact design of my station, you can check out the link in the description for a free SketchUp file. So for me, I right now have 3 drills and 3 impact drivers, and I have 5 battery chargers, and I have a bunch of other tools that I'm constantly using but don't really have a better storage place for them other than underneath my bench. So I wanted to design and combine a bunch of different inspirations that I saw to a single storage system, battery charging station that fit the exact space that I have. So everybody's situation is going to be different. The amount of tools you have is going to be different. The needs you're going to have for storage are going to be different. So for me, this was the best solution that I could come up with to keep things on a budget and in the space that I have. And I think overall it's going to offer a great solution for me to be able to store everything, also leave room for expansion down the road, and just make things more accessible, more organized in a shop that is constantly getting filled with more tools because woodworking is an addiction. So let's keep going with the build. All right, so pretty much every single cut that I'm going to make for this project, besides the one you just saw, I'm going to do over at my table saw. You absolutely do not need one for this project. It's just going to make things a lot quicker and more accurate for me. If you have a circular saw, that works perfectly fine. You're just going to have to spend a little bit more time marking and measuring things out to make those repeatable cuts. So we're going to head over to the table saw. You're going to see me cut out all of the individual pieces for the build. Then I'm going to walk you through how it gets assembled together with each of those individual pieces. So let's go ahead and get started. Before I get to assembly, the last thing that I want to do is just take these 2-inch wide pieces. These are actually going to serve the same function as these pieces right here, and just add a little bit of a round over to the tops of both sides of them. Aesthetically, I think it looks a little bit better, and it's going to make sliding a drill in and out a little bit easier. It's not necessary. You do not have to do this. I'm just going to do it for my build. So we're going to head over to the router table and quickly do that for all 7 of these pieces and then get to assembling. All right, so we are ready to begin assembling this thing. So the first thing that I'm going to build out is the actual holders for each of the drills. So that is going to be composed of vertical pieces and the pieces that you just saw me routing. And they're going to be assembled like this along this larger piece that's going to span the entire width of the charging station. And by mounting them like this, when you flip it over, you can slide the drill in. Super simple to make. So these are going to be spaced evenly apart. So what I went ahead and did is just cut out a 3 1/4 inch spacer, which is going to be the gap between each of the vertical pieces. Start with this flush up against it. That's going to mark out where your first piece is going to start. You could even keep this here. It might make it easier just to line things up. There you go. Now you have the first vertical support marked out exactly where it's going to go. Now I'm just going to go along here and do the exact same thing for each of the other ones. So spacer, vertical piece, all the way to the end. All right, so now that all of the lines are marked out, I can add a bead of glue, drop the piece in place, use some brad nails to hold it while the glue cures, and then come back and add some screws. So let's do that. All right, so the entire drill holding component of the build is complete. Nice and strong with those screws in there now, and the glue is going to cure. Should hold up over time really well. The next thing we're going to do is mount the large pieces that I cut out, which will encompass the sides of the build, to the big back piece that I cut and then we're also gonna mount the drill holder thing to that as well. I'm gonna use the top divider pieces that I cut earlier also to help properly space the drill holder piece of this thing, so it's all gonna line up really nicely. So we're gonna go ahead and tackle that. Just finished assembling the holder. That includes the walls and the backing of it. That is good to go. So the next thing I want to do is take all of my battery chargers and figure out where those are going to mount underneath the drill charging station. So I have 3 Ryobi chargers and 2 rigid chargers, so 5 total. And I'm just going to use a couple of plywood spacers and mark and figure out where I need to drill in screws so that the battery chargers themselves can slip onto those screws and then mount tightly to it. The rigid and the Ryobi one are going to have different spaces, so I'm just going to use tape, mark out where those holes are, transfer those holes to the wood, and then drill in some screws, and then just test fit everything, and then repeat that process for the other chargers, and we should be good to go. So that worked out really well. Chargers are nice and secure, they're evenly spaced, they're not going anywhere, and I think just aesthetically it looks really good. So the next thing I want to do is just do a little bit of cable management. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is take each of the cables and feed them to the left and zip tie them together as we go, and then drill a pilot hole on this side so that they all can be fed through that one hole and then plugged into a power strip on the other side of it. All right, so just an update from what you just saw me doing. I ended up pivoting, and instead of having the cables run along the front of the back mounting board and then out the side and then have to be wrapped a bunch and then plugged in, which just ended up looking messy, what I ended up doing was using a Forsner Bit, the same one that I drilled the hole with, and I drilled individual ones which are right above each charger. The cable is then fed through the back of it and then looped back and forth so that each cable then comes out from the side the same distance and then is plugged in, and then I zip tie them together and it looks a lot cleaner. The actual drill charging station is going to be mounted to my wall using a 1/2 inch French cleat system. So all I had to do was make sure that the wires weren't sticking out further than 1/2 inch and everything's good to go. The other thing is that I now have all of the top spacers in. Those work out great because they hold things like my jigsaw, my brad nailers, my pin nailers, my circular saw. So this is all pretty much good to go. Everything is mounted. All I need to do now is add the French cleat to the back of it, remove the old cabinet from the wall, and then get this hung up. And then we're going to be done. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so this thing is hung, it is good to go. The last thing I want to do, which is totally optional, but we have an embosser, and I thought it'd be fun just to label each of these little cubbies so that I would always be putting the drills back in the same place. So for example, I'm gonna have an impact driver that always has a Craig drill bit in it. I'm gonna have an impact driver that always has a star bit, and then one that I'm not even sure what it's gonna be yet, but just so they're always organized, and I don't know, I have an embosser and it's fun to do. All right, so that is gonna wrap it up for this project. This was an awesome one-day build. It's really helped me transform this space. It's gonna help me stay so much more organized with all of these tools right at an arm's reach, all the batteries right here, all of it charged from just one place. What I didn't realize was how much space I was gonna have underneath it, so I'm definitely gonna use some of that extra wood to help just build, I don't know, more shelves, maybe to hold batteries, or more tool storage, I don't know. But overall, Really happy with how this came out. If you are interested in building this project or you want to learn more about the design of it, there is a free SketchUp file linked in the description. Go ahead and check that out. Again, really happy with how this came out. Only took a couple of hours with me filming this project, so definitely something you can tackle in one weekend. Really help you get organized in that space. If you enjoyed the video, just let me know by hitting that like button. I would love it if you would subscribe to the channel for future videos, and I'll see you next time on whatever it is I'm building. Bye.